Hi everybody, my name is Robbie Richardson with Sportfish Colorado. Today I'm here to talk to you guys and show you how to fillet fish. A lot of people just gut their fish and that works, but a lot of people don't know how to fillet fish, and once they find out they prefer that over the gutting method. And what filleting does is it gives us a nice chunk of meat here, which can be prepared in a number of ways. And you don't have to deal with the skin, you don't have to scale the fish, you don't have any guts, you don't have the head, the tail, you just have a small line of bones right here, and I'll show you how to take that out later. So, the first and most important part of this process is having a good knife. I use a lot of knives from Rapala. They're not too expensive, but they seem to keep a pretty sharp edge. I've filleted thousands of fish with them, and they're still doing a pretty good job for me. And the key to a good knife is one that you can get to flex. You want this knife to be pretty thin so you have flex in order to do certain cuts when we're filleting this fish. The first thing we're going to do, we got a nice little brown here from Blue Mesa Reservoir we're going to cook up for dinner. First thing we're going to do is come in and make an incision right behind the gill plate here. I like to put my finger in and use this gill as a handle, and I'll start to cut right down into there. The thing you don't want to do is cut through the backbone, which is right in here, about halfway. So once you reach that backbone, you'll feel it's a little bit harder. You don't want to go through that. You just want to kind of curl your knife, and this backbone is going to be your guide, and you just want to start kind of chasing that down towards the tail. And a lot of people will first, when they're filleting, come and cut off these fins right here, this whole strip of belly, but that's really unnecessary if you just get the hang of coming in. And what I do is kind of lead with the front part of this knife over here, and then watching these fins with the other part of this knife, and you can just avoid that one step in the process. And I'm just still chasing that backbone. As you can see, this backbone right in here is our guide, and we're just gonna work all the way to the tail and then not go through that tail, because on this fish we're actually going to be taking the skin off. Sometimes I'll leave the skin on if I want to grill the fish, or sometimes smoke it. It helps keep that fillet together. We'll keep the fillet a little bit moister. But tonight we're going to be frying these up in the skillet, so we're going to take the skin off, and in order to do that we're going to come in. Keeping this skin attached to the tail is going to allow us to have this as a handle, which is important for getting our knife in between the meat and the skin here. And the tricky part of this is just being able to press down on that skin. And this is where the flexible knife comes into play. You're pressing down, but trying to not go through the skin. And as I'm working down that, I'm just taking that skin right off of here. And that's giving me all meat and none of the nasty stuff there. And so I kind of keep a tight grip on the skin here and just slowly work your way down until you get all that skin off of there. Now, all we're left with on this piece of meat is the rib cage here. And in order to take that off, I'll start by making a small incision along the top of it here, and that's just going to end up being a kind of a guide for my knife. Then once I can get my knife in there, I'm going to press up towards the rib cage and slowly work along it here so that I can save as much meat as possible underneath here, but still take this little section of bone off. And you can virtually see my knife through that rib cage there, and that takes off all the bones there and leaves us with this almost boneless chunk of meat. Now this piece of meat here has a section of bone that runs from here to here, and in order to take that out, I usually leave it together unless we're going to right about to cook it up, make fish tacos, something like that. If people are picky about their bones, you can come in here and cut at about a 45-degree angle behind the bones, and then make one incision right above the bones. Cut that all the way to right here, and you can feel them. I'm just running my finger here, feeling where they stop. And after making those 2 incisions, you can take that strip of meat out, and this fillet will be completely boneless. It'll be all meat. And you know, a lot of people don't like fish specifically because of the bones. So we're done with that guy. Now we're just going to take our fish and flip him over and do the same thing on this side. Come in, make that incision behind the gill plate, curl your knife, and chase it down the backbone. And if you so desire to leave the skin on, this would be the point where you just keep going and cut through that skin at the end of the tail there. But since we're not doing that, and you can see this fish actually has some little bait fish in him. Get in here and do the same thing to take this skin off. It's really important. You want to start making a little incision there and kind of just find that point where you're right at the skin. And then once you're there, you got to do the pressing down on your cutting board or whatever platform you're cutting on, and pressing down and kind of just filling your way through this fillet here, making sure to get all the skin but take as much of the meat as you can as well. We're done with this guy now. We'll just do the same thing. Make our little starter incision here, and then get the blade and kind of press upward, taking as little meat as possible. There's a little bit of bone there. Now we got another nice fillet. It's ready for washing and for dinner. And that's all there is to it. Till next time, I'm Robbie Richardson. Check out sportfishcolorado.com. We'll have a lot more videos to come. And thanks for sticking with us tonight.